And welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video here. I have a lot to share because there's some new reports that was actually just announced today that are pretty mind-blowing here. Number one right here, take a look at this. The 10-year Treasury is at 4.138%. So we're above 4% right now. The yield has increased by 14 basis points as of today. And this is tied directly to average mortgage rates. So when the yield increases, so does average rates or average mortgage rates. And according to the CNBC today, the yield right now at 4.1% is the highest level since July 23rd, 2008. And because Treasury yields have been increasing, so have mortgage rates. So as of today, which is the 19th of October, had a look, according to the Mortgage News Daily, for people with exceptional credit is 7.22% for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. 1 year ago, we were over 3%. So have a look at this. 1 year ago, rates were 3.19%. In other words, rates have increased by 403 basis points, or just over 4 percentage points in the last 12 months alone. Also, rates have increased over 2 percentage points since August 1st of this year, which is causing a huge pullback in home buying demand. That's one thing we're seeing. And here's another thing we're seeing right now. The National Association of Home Builders just announced today, actually they announced yesterday, I should say, they reported that builder confidence for building new single-family houses has declined by 10 consecutive months. This is for October. So in other words, builder confidence for building single-family houses has declined every single month this year. Now this is pretty eye-opening, right? But it shouldn't be too much of a surprise given the fact that demand for single-family houses is really tied directly to what's going on with the mortgage market. So because rates have increased so much, that's causing home builders to really put a pause on building single-family houses, and also for their confidence in building houses to decline by 10 consecutive months now. So the National Association of Home Builders is reporting that builder confidence for building again single-family houses has now fallen to its lowest level since 2012, with the exception of 2 months during the spring of 2020, which of course was the onset of COVID. They're also reporting that the reason why builder sentiment has been decreasing so much is because of rising rates, builder material bottlenecks, in other words, supply chain issues that home builders are facing, and of course, elevated home prices. And check this out because this is pretty insane here. It says builder confidence in the market for building new single-family houses dropped 8 points in October, half the level it was just 6 months ago. So builder sentiment is about half as much as what was 6 months ago, which is just kind of mind-blowing here. It's also the lowest confidence reading since August 2012, with the exception of the onset of pandemic in the spring months of 2020. The association is also reporting that for 2022, this will be the first year since 2011 to see a decline of single-family housing starts. Housing starts is the beginning phase of the construction of a brand new home. So they're stating here we're going to be seeing a decline year over year by the end of this year. Also, given expectations for ongoing elevated interest rates due to the actions by the Fed, of course, 2023 is forecasted to see additional single-family building declines as the housing contraction continues. They also say the following here. While some analysts have suggested that the housing market is more balanced, the truth is that the homeownership rate will decline in the quarters ahead as higher interest rates and ongoing elevated construction costs continue to price out a large number of prospective buyers. In my opinion, they're really spot on regarding this because when we see a rise of rates by over 4 percentage points, that causes buyers' purchasing power to decrease by about 40%. So some buyers are really getting priced out of this housing market while others are simply giving up. Also, based on this monthly survey from the Builders Association, which by the way has been conducted for more than 35 years here, home builders who responded to the survey here reported current sales conditions falling, sales expectations in the next 6 months declining, and buyer traffic also falling as well. And again, all this makes sense given the fact that rates have increased so much. Therefore, builder confidence for building single-family houses has been declining greatly as well. And speaking of home building, take a look at this. This is according to the US Census Bureau. This is a monthly report that I go over on a monthly basis on the channel here regarding new home construction numbers for each month. And this, of course, is for September. It was just released today at the time of this video, which is October 19th. Some some pretty eye-opening trends I want to share with you guys in today's video right here. So if you guys are not familiar with this report here, this is from the US Census Bureau. They report housing construction numbers across the United States. They report the number of permits being authorized or permits being pulled by home builders, housing starts, and also units under construction, as well as, of course, units completed. And they break this down by single family houses as well as multifamily. So 1 unit, that means single family houses. And for 2 to 4 units, which would be duplexes, triplexes, and quads. And the vast majority of 5 units or more are apartment buildings in order to rent out. So let's first talk about permits being authorized. In other words, permits being pulled and authorized to construct a new house. So these are in thousands of units, and these are also seasonally adjusted annualized rates. So for single family houses for September, the annualized rate was 872,000 units. That's down from 17% from 1 year ago and down by 3% from August of 2022. So based on these stats right here, it appears that builders are really holding off on getting new permits authorized to build new single family houses. So at 872,000, again, that's a seasonally adjusted annualized rate. That's the lowest numbers we've seen in at least the last 12 months. In stark contrast, though, look at multifamily. Again, the vast majority of these are apartment buildings in order to rent out. Units authorized up by 25.5% on a year-over-year basis and up by 8.2% compared to August of 2022. Vastly different compared to single-family houses here. And when looking at the number of units authorized by region, which by the way is the Northeast, the Midwest, the South, and the West, there's some very big differences here because in the West, look at this, declining by 27.3%, the South down by 16%, Midwest down by 15%, but the Northeast increasing by 7.4%. So let's have a look at Uncle Fred's website for units authorized for single family housing units. Again, 872,000 is a seasonally adjusted annualized rate. And when looking at this graph here over the past 1 year, the number of units authorized for single family has declined by 7 consecutive months. And by the way, the current levels right now are the lowest levels since June of 2020. Let me share that with you right here. So 872,000, the lowest numbers since June of 2020 when we had 867,000. So it appears that builders are really reluctant to pull new permits in order to build houses for single family due to rising rates. Again, permits authorized falling for 7 consecutive months now. Okay, let's change gears slightly and talk about units authorized. In other words, they have a permit that has been approved, but the builder has opted not to start construction. This is called units authorized but not yet started. For single family houses, look at this, pretty flat across the board here compared to 1 year ago and also from 1 month ago. But look at this, 5 units or more, up by 33.3% from September 2021. So even though home builders are increasing the number of permits being authorized here, again up by 25.5%, it doesn't mean once you get a permit authorized, it doesn't mean you're going to start construction, right? Some builders are opting not to start construction, as you can see right here, up by 33.3% for multifamily. Now here's what really matters though. This is housing starts. This is the beginning phase of the construction of a brand new home or a multifamily property here. Again, these are in thousands of units. These are also seasonally adjusted annualized rates right now. So the number of single family housing starts is at 892,000, down by 4.7% from 1 month ago, but actually down by 18.5% from 1 year ago. So big picture here, this is what home builders are doing. They're pulling back on getting units authorized, in other words, permits being approved to build a new single family houses, but also they're decreasing the number of housing starts as well, down by 18.5% on a year-over-year basis here, and also permits being authorized down by 17.3%. And again, according to the National Association of Home Builders, this will be the first year since 2011 to see a decline for single-family housing starts. So far this year, at least for September 2021 compared to September 2022, we're down by 18.5%. But the association is predicting we're going to see negative growth for housing starts for single family. And of course, that's for 2022. Look at this. The peak over the past 12 months for single family housing starts was in November of 2021, where we had just over 1.2 million housing starts. Now we only have 892,000. In stark contrast, though, look at multifamily for 5 units or more, up by 16.5% on a year-over-year basis here. Now let's have a look at Uncle Fred's website for housing starts for single family. As I noted right here on Uncle Fred's website right here, housing starts for single family units have declined in 6 out of the last 7 months. So housing starts have been decreasing more or less ever since March of 2022, if you exclude this blip we had last month. Also, when looking over the past 5 years, the current levels right now at 892,000, again, that's the seasonally adjusted annualized rate. These are the lowest levels we've had since May of 2020, when there's 750,000. Also by region, we saw double-digit decreases on a year-over-year basis here, because the Northeast down by 15.9%, the Midwest down by 15.2%, the South down by 14.5%, and look at the West down by 30.1%. Also a huge decrease from 1 month ago, down by 15.8%. To me, the biggest aha moment regarding housing starts is the disparity between builders constructing single family versus multifamily. Again, because single family down by 18.5%, and also for 5 units or more, of course, multifamily up by 16.5%. So we're seeing a decrease of single family, however, a big increase of multifamily. Therefore, one would assume that builders are much more bullish regarding the rental market, as you can see right here, versus the resale market for single-family houses. And you really can see that when looking at the year-to-date stats. By the way, these are not seasonally adjusted, non-seasonally adjusted rates here. Look at this. Single-family for housing starts down by 5.6%. 2 to 4 units up by almost 45%, and 5 units or more up by 17.5% year to date. All right, changing gears again, let's talk about housing units under construction. By the way, these are in thousands of units again, but they're not annualized rates. They're seasonally adjusted though. So as of September, we had 1.71 million housing units under construction. That's total housing units under construction, which of course includes single family plus multifamily. And at 1.71 million, this is the all-time record high, and this is mostly coming from multifamily. So 1.7 million, about 800,000 is coming from single family, and 893,000 is coming from 5 units or more. And as I noted right here, this record high of 1.7 million total units under construction right now is likely due to supply chain issues. In other words, it's taking builders longer to build houses right now, and also multifamily, due to the supply chain bottlenecks they're facing right now. Let's talk a little bit more about single family houses under construction. That increased 11.1% compared to September 2021, more or less flat compared to 1 month ago. Look at this though. The levels right now at 800,000 is on par with February of 2022. So the number of houses under construction for single family has now declined for 4 consecutive months. And as I noted right here, this is likely due to a decrease of housing starts this year. What I mean by that is that we're seeing a decrease of single family houses under construction for 4 consecutive months due to the fact that housing starts are decreasing by 18.5% from 1 year ago. So let's have a look at Uncle Fred's website regarding this. Again, units under construction for single family houses. Look at this, 828. For 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive months, we've been seeing decreases here. But check this out, even though levels have been decreasing for 4 consecutive months, historically speaking, we're still at very high levels. Again, at 800,000, again, that's seasonally adjusted. Look at this, click on max. The current levels right now at 800, the highest levels since December of 2006. And during that time frame, as you can see, we had 805 units under construction. And going back to the Census Bureau's report here, look at single family versus multifamily again. So for multifamily, 5 units or more, up by 26.8% on a year-over-year basis versus only 11.1% gain for single family. And this huge increase in multifamily here, again, the vast majority is apartment buildings in order to rent out, is likely to put downward pressure on rents in the months to come. Of course, this is after these units are actually completed here. Let's look at Uncle Fred's website though for multifamily here though. So for 5 units or more, again, 893,000, which agrees right here. Look at this trend line over the past, ever since 1970. So the current levels right now at 893,000 is on par with September 1973, when we had 897,000 multifamily properties under construction. And as you guys can see right here, over the past 20 years, we bottomed out in 2010. But once we hit 2011 and 2012, the number of units under construction absolutely skyrocketed until we hit approximately 2017 through 2019. Then again, it skyrocketed once again. And again, once these units are actually completed, this is going to put downward pressure on rents, which of course is very much needed. And speaking of units completed, have a look at this. Single family units completed, again, single family houses have been completed here, are up by 11.1% on a year-over-year basis, only up by 3.2% from last month though. Look at multifamily though, 5 units or more, up by 16.8% from last month, but up by 33.3% from 1 year ago. Also, we're seeing some very big changes by region as well. For single family houses, look at this, down by 24.1% in the Northeast, in the Midwest, up by 15.9%, the South increasing by 17.2%, and the West only increasing by 1.4%. So please comment below your biggest takeaways from today's video. Of course, if you guys got any value in this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Hope you guys have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.